another elimination match to kick things off with.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Complexity versus NaVi. Boomich continuing the fight. A triple for him. Yugi with the no-scope and 8 seconds on the clock. Yugi has to hit it and he will! He's got time. He can do it. He's almost there. Oh, no. Complexity. I can't believe it. They didn't check it. They left the bomb site and Simple ninjas the round.
You know, talk about coming alive when his team needed it most. Electronic. No, there it is. Double headshots and it's the clutch.
Electronic. 10-second defuse inside and Benny goes down, but it does not matter.
It's an Astralis that can still bleed. It's an Astralis that can always bounce back, though.
But Zipex, he's going to go ahead and wrap CT spawn, and look at the CTs. They push forward. Device, all three. It's Zipex here in the corner, looking for more than one. Mac 10, good for the double, a triple. The MP9 goes big.
3 series wins in a row here for Astralis over G2.
So far, what we've seen from the 6-man roster of Vitality, it has been positive from start to finish.
He gets into the tucked corner. Grim gets executed. But of course, Siwoo's going to play with the time. Fallen peak wide, and that is unthinkable. Let's see if he can flick it. Oh, he absolutely can. 10 seconds left. Grim's hands are busy, and he's going to commit to this. 2 CTs. Grim dies. Vitality closing on Vertigo.
It's elimination day all the way here for the Blast Global Finals. And my oh my, yesterday was one crazy day of Counter-Strike action. And it only gets better from here. My name is James Banks and I am your host. And alongside me, as always, is Mr. Pimp, who has been rocking it on stream. You had a string of losses today, didn't you? So maybe the wins are going to come in your predictions?
8 in a row. 8 in a row. I must be the biggest potato ever to play face.
And Maniac, you may be the reason for these losses.
I might have participated in 2 of these losses this morning, so I'm not going to comment on that one. I'm just leave it hanging here. We'll win tomorrow.
I'll come in eventually, boys, and carry you. Don't worry, we'll try and make some magic happen. But I'm going to show you guys at home what's going down across the tournament so far. Already we have seen Furia and Complexity eliminated early on, but it's not the biggest of surprises. But we look at this upper bracket run. 2 men towards the side of me here predicted this dream run, and you guessed it all the way that it was going to be Astralis and Vitality at the top. But right now, we've got the NA matchup and we've got the EU matchup, and they are both going to end up with one team going home.
Yeah, it's my favorite stage of the tournament. This is where narratives actually gets written down. This is where we decide the results and teams and what conclusion that we can draw, because Astralis Vitality being in the final upper bracket, that makes sense. They are the teams fighting right now for the top 1 spot in the world, and then you have NaVi. They should be that third team in a triangle, but actually they've barely survived. I think survive is the term we need to use.
Survival, maybe desperation at times, chaos. I don't know, Pimp. It wasn't pretty.
Could be a bit of both, you know, could be a bit of all, but that's classic NaVi. I feel we've been standing up here so many times talking about how NaVi are struggling, and all of a sudden when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, when they're in that lower bracket, Simple shows up, Electronic shows up, and they'll be in that top 3 somehow, some way, anyway.
Anyway, indeed. And all of these teams are competing right now for the glorious Global Finals trophy. A full golden Blast logo. It is what all these teams have been fighting for from start to finish across the entire year. Remember, this is the 2020 Global Finals with $1 million first place prize. And then, $600,000 first place prize with $1 million total in it all. But also, you'll see this beautiful watch that is had here. This is only for the winners. It is the championship watch, which the coaches will get. If you've got a 6-man roster, they will also get it. This is the dream for the players and one of a kind. There is only 8 in the world, and they all want to get one. Now, when it comes into what we're seeing here today, you know what matches are coming up, but we've got another discussion point to have, right? Because right now, we are in the wild world of a change within Counter-Strike, right? Counter-Strike is evolving every single time, and teams are trying new things. Some are making it very successful, some not so much.
Sure, I mean, the latest change in the landscape of Counter-Strike is the 6-man roster. I feel like this has been an idea in the pipeline for, what, a year, 2 years, 3 years? People were talking about it, but finally teams are doing it. And when I say teams, maybe I should say team, because Vitality has been the only real roster rotating maps, evolving as well through these changes, because Nivera is now playing on Nuke as well, and they have done it successfully. In that sense, I think they have paved the way for other teams to copy them and how they've done it.
And what many people, right, would say, oh, okay, Astralis, they were the first to do it. They were the first to add 6 and even having a 7-man roster because other players were not able to play, right? But with Vitality, they have a 6-man active roster. And that's the big difference here, because all of these players play a part of the puzzle.
They sure do, and they've been grinding it out there. They've been implementing Nivira. They've been giving Misuta some breaks as well. They've been him understanding, that some maps you're not going to play on. They even took out Shux on some of the maps, right? One of the most legendary Counter-Strike players ever. So they have dared to do where others were just talking about it, as you said. Sure thing, having 7 players on contract, a lot of teams throughout the history have had that, but having 7 or 6 players actively playing for a team, only Vitality so far have been able to pull it off, and they're also the most successful at doing so.
Definitely, their success has been huge recently in terms of what they've been able to achieve. But we also got to look at the rest of the teams here and how these other players are working out for them, right? Because when you look at Bit, he just plays Inferno. When you look at Honda, okay, we'll just put a caveat by Honda. We'll make this clear. We know Junior is on the 5-man roster, but Gary, Furia, they've been talking about having the 6-man, and right now that could potentially be Honda. Then you've got Bubsky. He only plays Nuke. He's in a similar situation to Bit, but Nivera, like you already mentioned, man, he's across everything.
You know what's actually interesting? I feel like Bubsky kind of stands out right now in that list of 4 players because he is the only one that had some sort of a career before all of that happened.
Yeah.
We are trying to see, or we are slowly seeing a distinction in what kind of profiles teams are looking for their 6th player. And in a grand majority of the time, they are looking for a prospect that they can mold, they can mentor, that can fit the needs of the team, and they can turn into a star. Nivera is in that role. Honda seems to be. Bit, I think, is a bit so-and-so. We haven't really seen him shine too much, but it's definitely the profile. For Bubsky, the story is different. He had a little bit of success with Mad Lions. He was prefaced as one of the next up-and-coming, oh my god, this player deserves to play at the top. He joins Astralis. Now he warms the bench. It's a whole different story.
There's a lot of different aspects that play into it as well, because we can play around with the 6-man rosters. Some players are playing on certain maps, and that's fine. You have Nivira now playing on 3 different maps, so he's been integrated more and more into the lineup. Whereas if you look towards a guy like Bubsky, he's too good to sit on the bench. He's simply too skilled of a player, have a long career ahead of him to just be sitting on the bench, or at least playing one map, a map that Astralis right now are constantly vetoing as well. They're not even getting to play Nuke with him. So for Bubsky, that's not a good situation to be in, right? But let's pretend that Dupree, he breaks his right arm or something happens, something horrible happens to one of the players so they can't play Counter-Strike. One of them have to go to the hospital or whatever that may be. Now you have Bubsky being a 6-man player, and he's more than suitable to come in. Not only can he cover a lot of different roles, but he could potentially also elevate the lineup, or at least make the damages of losing Dupree, siblings, or whoever it may be going to the hospital. So it's a security as well. But how long, if you're Bubsky, will you allow yourself to sit on the bench, not play when you're as skilled as he is? Whereas for Nivira, he got gifted a chance in Vitality, and he took it by the horn.
And this is it, right? And I got to stay on this Bubsky point a little bit longer, because one thing with him, like you mentioned, Pim, he's certainly more than capable. We've already seen it at a top level. Right now, he's sat there, okay, he's just playing Nuke. It's up to Zonic, so we hear from the players in order where he goes next, if he's able to play more maps. But I think right now, you don't want him having sat there not playing in these maps. Maybe he's looking at practice, maybe he's getting involved, but how long is he going to sit there? Then his skill starts to whittle away, because you can only play so much, like FPL, for example.
No, you're absolutely correct. You have to think that his stock actually devalues over time if he's not playing, staying on the roster. And in that sense, I've always said that adding a 6th player is a team structural challenge. It's not just an individual. Sure, Bubsky, in the name here, has to perform when he's playing, but it's the whole team really structure that is tested. How are you going to handle the fact that the player is playing one map out of 10, 12, 15 or something like that? It's actually quite complicated. And I just want to bounce back on Jacob's point. We described the fact that, Bubsky could step in if there was an issue, and I completely agree with that. I just feel it's a whole different philosophy than what Vitality is doing. In that regard, that would be a security 6th and really a sub, whereas I don't think I even imagine Nivera as a sub right now. Nivera is not a sub in my mind. Misuta is not a sub. Shux is definitely not a sub. They're a rotating roster. So these are 2 different philosophies, having a 6-man roster and having a sub that can help you out.
Now, there's another team we've got to mention who don't have a 6-man roster, but could have a 6-man roster in G2. G2, they brought in Nico, and we knew that it was either going to be Amanek or Jax that got the cut. Jax is the one that ended up getting a cut, but they potentially could have kept him and had this 6-man roster, but at the moment, it looks like they don't want to toy with that.
And to me, that's the most interesting discussion when it comes to these 6-man rosters, or when it comes to having a sub player on your lineup, because some teams are actively choosing not to have it. So where is it going to be? 2021, I think, is going to be the year where we're going to find out whether or not let's call it the Vitality model is going to take over the Counter-Strike world, or we're going to see the stable 5-man rosters. Because the way I'm seeing it right now, Astralis, they're slowly but surely leaning away from integrating Bubsky more, so they're going back to the old core 5. which again, they were the best team in the world. They were the most successful team to ever play Counter-Strike. Same thing for G2, as you said. They stick with the 5-man roster. They're not interested in having a sub coming in and out of the lineup. So which one is going to win out? Is it going to be the Vitality and the 6-man rosters, or is it going to be the 5-man core lineups, maybe with a sub player that sometimes can come in if someone has to go on the toilet or whatever that may be?
And one thing there, right, when it comes to this is I'm really interested across this whole year to understand how many more teams will toy with this, how many more teams will add players to it, because I think we're getting to the point where you talk about calendars, you talk about the stress of traveling and stuff, you talk about players getting older. This is something which is progression that we're going to see throughout esports across a whole.
I am absolutely convinced that this is the future of Counter-Strike. I am 100%, no, 99%. Okay. Let's just be careful with 100%. We've made mistakes here at the desk. I'm 99% sure that this is the future of Counter-Strike because the pluses outweigh the minuses in long term by a very strong
Which one
margin.
of the two, though? Having a 6-man roster or having a sub ready to be sub?
Having an evolving roster with a 6-man roster, a pure 6-man roster. I think the pluses outweigh the minuses in many, many different ways. First of all, I think with Vitality, we have the example of a map pool that just gets deeper when you have a new player coming in, right? You also have, obviously, all that the theme of having a player who is a little bit down, a little bit burnout or whatever. Then you could just transition into a 5-man roster for a period of time just to protect someone and get back in. The pluses are just way too important. But it is a trade-off. It's a trade-off. Short term, you're going to lose a little bit of level because you bring in a player that maybe not that good integrated. But on the long term, I think you win.
The thing is, we don't know the long-term consequence, right? Because let's pretend that we're back towards LAN events. Let's pretend that we have a tournament where Misuta is only playing 1 or 2 games and he's not playing the grand final. That could be Shox as well. He's in a grand final. It's a best of 3 and 2 of the matches he's not playing. It happened, right? So he's not playing the final and deciding map. If you're Shox, are you okay with that? Right now, okay, it's new, it's trending, it's interesting, but, going down the line, going down on the long road and looking out in the future, I don't know whether that's sustainable or not. If you have a 5-man roster and you trust in your 5-man roster like Astralis, you know what you're going to get. Whereas for Vitality, right now it's looking hella interesting, and I agree with you. I think there's a future to be had, but we don't know the long-term consequences.
We don't know, but we're going to find out across this year, and that is the beauty of what is happening right here and now. But we've got to get moving, we've got to get on with the games. But if you guys are interested in this conversation, make sure you tweet at us and give us your thoughts, because for me, this is an eye-opening experience. It's a first in esports, and it's something that's going to evolve every single time one of these teams add to it. Later on today is G2 taking on NaVi. A big game for sure, but before we get there, begin the NA derby. It's EG taking on Team Liquid.
expect a lot from these guys, but when Breeze and the boys are performing, they still have what it takes to be up there with the best.
Vinny gets killed, Cirque swaps to the sidearm, and back for the third.
What Liquid is able to do so far in this event is impressive. There is no way around it.
Throws that smoke, charges forward, Nap boosted, gets 2 kills. Let's see if a man advantage is enough to hold it down. Grim, whoa, the third headshot is lightning quick.
This is the clash of the North American Titans. One maybe not so much so recently in the form of EG, but Liquid, who have shown us with Fallen that they can get the job done. They have been looking great so far this tournament and even pushing Astralis around to a degree. But when it comes to this, right, when you look at what we see here from both these teams, it's an EG that I guess have impressed us because we had the expectations so low.
Do you think they've impressed us? I'm not even sure I want to go there. I think EG have, again, survived. The first win against Astralis on Inferno was something that shocked us. I think it's fair to say. We did not see it coming. But then the 5 other maps they have played behind it led me to believe that that could have been a one-off. It could have been the culmination of Astralis not reading in, and then, EG winning both pistol rounds, yada, yada, yada. So the rest of what we have seen from EG so far has been a little bit shaky. Remember, they get absolutely wrecked by Astralis on Overpass and Vertigo. Then they almost lose 2-0 to Furia with a stand-in. So for EG, they said it, Stanislaw said it, this is the beginning of a European trip. We're going to have 4 events. We're trying to get a trophy. I don't think we are seeing the full force of EG, but they sure have pressure because their opponents don't have any.
I might have put a little bit too much stock in the one map from Astralis, right? I maybe get overhyped by it, but I want to see this EG back to form because you look at the individuals and you know what they can do.
And we see glimpses of it. I think that's the problem because you saw against Astralis how well they can play. You saw against the last map against Furia where they win 16-6 or 16-8 on Nuke, I believe, just completely dismantling them, right? They can play Counter-Strike at a very high level. The problem for EG and the problem for Stan and Cirque for that matter, you see on your screen right here, is that the consistency is lacking when it comes to EG. As a fact of fact, they've been consistently bad lately. So they do find some sort of consistency. But for EG to get back to a level where they can be good, we need to see Breeze elevated, we need to see Ethan elevated, and I need to see more from Cirque. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed because I think 2 years ago, he was on the brink to be one of the AWP players in the world, up there with the top 3, top 5. You could always count on him. Whereas as of recently, he's not a bad player by no means, but he's not up at the same level, and he's needed today against Fallen and against Liquid.
They certainly are needed, and we just now really need to hear from Breeze because this man, we keep talking about the level he can bring, what he can do for this team. So let's see how he's feeling.
And looking back on that 2020 rivalry, you guys actually managed to claim 6 series wins in a row against Liquid. So how close do you feel like the Evil Geniuses now are versus the Evil Geniuses back then when you guys were in NA? Do you feel like you've made any changes or any developments at all?
I think that we're not at the level we were back then, but I think that with more time and stuff, with more time in Europe, that we can actually get better than we were in NA. So I think that if we play our A game, that Liquid will have a hard time beating us.
Interesting stuff. Is there anything specific that you guys are looking to be improving as a team together during your time here in Europe?
Just getting used to the European playstyle. I mean, we were stuck in America for pretty much the whole year. So getting used to playing these teams again and playing their styles and just working on our team communication and all aspects of the game, actually.
And it is tough for them to come back over to Europe. And the other part that's tough is when you don't play an official for 3 months, right? It's one thing being able to practice and play your normal game. But like Stan said to us, 3 months of no official games is hugely different to try and come back into.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge for a team because even if the individuals play FPL or Ranked, whatever it is, a lot of deathmatch, this is not the same as playing at the top level with a team. There are so many protocols in place, and then you might make the mistake of falling into a very individualistic type of Counter-Strike, which is what I feel happened to EG last year when they came over. They were playing very loosey-goosey, a lot of duels, and they got punished every single time. So now you have an EG who's trying to fight back against time, trying to reach their level. But still, individually, there are a couple of individuals who need to deliver more. I think Breeze and Ethan is a rifle duo that we mentioned that was very, very potent when EG was on the top, and they've been a little bit quiet. They've been a little bit missing. Breeze had a couple of good maps. Ethan on Inferno versus Astralis specifically was good, but after that, where's the consistency? You need these two heavy hitters to really make a difference.
And that's a really big problem, right, when it comes to this. But looking at Liquid side of things, we've definitely been pleasantly surprised. You're never sure what you're going to get when a team changes, a new player comes into the roster. You expect someone like Fallen to bring a lot to this roster. First of all, they took down NaVi in that crazy 2-0. Then they went up against Vitality, and they made it more competitive than I honestly expected. I kind of thought the Vitality were going to walk all over them.
They were very close to take off a map from Vitality. I think there's a long way for Liquid to win against Vitality as yesterday, but just taking a map away from Vitality and make the games competitive like they did yesterday was another great sign. We talked about it coming into this tournament. What do we expect from Liquid? Where's our expectations laying at? And I feel every single time we watch them play, it's been a positive outlook for Liquid. We see NaVi activated again. You saw Leash on the first day having a good series. You see Fallen finding impact. Stewie 2K again getting praised by Fallen for making some great calls. The synergy within Team Liquid already now seems better than it were with Trist. And that's not to pinpoint Trist and saying he was a problem. I just think these guys who have tried so much in their careers, they needed a new breath of fresh air, sort of. They needed an experienced guy like Fallen coming in, kicking them in the ass, and now they're finally starting to play some proper Counter-Strike again. And I love to see it.
And I love to see you seeing on the back of the reactions here, right? Moses right now getting the hype moments finally for him. He's got his heart and soul into this. But as a player we don't speak about all too much is Grim, and he is pleasantly surprising me still. This man is definitely there when they need him most.
Look, the fact that we don't talk about Grim too much is actually quite positive, because we could be criticizing him, we could be talking about how he's not doing enough, but you have to realize how many narratives are kind of flying around Liquid right now, with Fallen being in, obviously, Nav playing better, Elish being one of the best players in the world. Grim is silently but surely doing his work. I'm keeping an eye on him when they play. I don't see many mistakes. I think his trading abilities are quite good. If you look at the opening kill department, he's a 61% success rate when he tries and make the kill. I have so many flashes in my head when he's in hut, taking the duel against RPK, whoever that is, that's holding the site, and he makes the difference. So Grim is evolving. Grim is a young player in terms of experience at the top, so we got to give him some time. But what he's doing right now is sufficient, or enough for me at least.
Well, let's discover some more from Grim, because he caught up with Freya just a moment ago.
And looking forward to your next matchup, it's going to be Evil Geniuses, who you guys haven't actually faced since September of last year. So have you had any practice time against them since they've come over to Europe?
Oh, we actually have not played them since America. So yeah, a team like that, we played against them a lot. In America, we know how they play. They know how we play. I guess Fallen come in, that can help being unpredictable in a sense, so where they won't know what we're doing as much. And I think Fallen bringing some mid-rounding could definitely help against a team like that. Who's really good, like being explosive and stuff like that.
Interesting. And speaking of Fallen as well, we've kind of heard the impact that he has during the game, but how much is he helping you guys in terms of the practice and preparation before a game? How much input is he having there?
Yeah, he's doing a lot. Like, he's bringing some things that like he learned from MIBR and SK and all of them, and like this stuff that like we don't really think about, and the stuff that it just helps a lot, especially with me learning some new stuff. And he definitely helps me, like, showing like what I can do better, or like things I've done wrong that I can improve on, or like things of strats that I can make sure to keep in mind for next time. He helps a lot with everyone outside the game.
I love it. Grim's just like happily chatting away. He's all in the mood. He's all good, and he's got a great system around him now. And I think that's what's key, right? He goes from Triumph to playing on Team Liquid. And Triumph, okay, they were on their way rising up, but this is a whole different ball game.
I mean, you think about the structure that Liquid can offer to a young player right now. The very fact that you have Moses, a lot of experience behind you as a coach. You have Fallen, one of the most experimented player we have there. You have Elish and NaVi, who's been at the top for a very long time. Stewie won a major. What else do you want as a new player? To kind of show you the ropes and mentor you. It's a beautiful luxury spot for Grim.
It is a luxury spot, but let's have a look at what this Vito is going to deliver for us here today. Because in this NA matchup, it might go one way or the other, but one thing we know is there's still an unknown about the map pool.
EG is an unknown quantity when it comes to the Vito. I have to be real honest. I thought they were going to remove Mirage. They removed Vertigo first for Liquid. Train should be out of the picture. I don't see why they would allow Train to remain. Now, the very fact that EG went for that Vertigo ban, I'm not sure. They've picked Inferno all the time so far in this event. They've picked Inferno twice. They could change things up, but I don't really see any other map they could punish Liquid on it. They stick with Inferno. Liquid now has the Mirage open. I thought Liquid would go for Nuke, but I didn't account for Mirage being open. Okay. That's a possibility. They could punish. Mirage is usually at the bottom of the pit. They go with Dust too. That in itself is surprising to me. It's a very skill-heavy map where the protocols that they've shown will not have a lot of impact. Now for the third map, Jacob, I don't know if you have a preference, but Nuke being still open,
Yeah, it's definitely still open. So is Overpass. Well, it's not longer open now. I'm kind of surprised Liquid didn't maybe go for a bit of a ballsy pick and win to Overpass. That could have been a way to go for them. I think it's smart by EG to remove it. But as you said, for a third map, Inferno would be fitting, I feel, for both teams. And I think Mirage would be fitting for both teams. And I think we get it. Mirage is a very open map. And for Liquid, I think they'll feel fairly comfortable with this map pool. But coming into this matchup, you say Inferno, you say Dust 2, and you say Mirage. Not quite what I expected, to be quite fair.
And I'll be saying, right, I have a memory, and it's a long time ago, but EG on Dust 2, yeah, was pretty damn special before.
They used to be a good team, which is also why I'm surprised to see Liquid shy away from Nuke, because yes, Nuke is definitely a map that EG could play at a good level, but we have tested it, trial by fire for Nuke for Liquid on Nuke, and they were good. It was open, they didn't take it, so for me that's a surprise.
Who do you think's won the veto, Pimp?
I don't think any of the teams won the veto. I think both of them are fairly comfortable. I'm very curious to that Dust 2 pick, as Matthew is alluding to as well, because I think it's one of the easier maps to integrate Fallen in as well. It's relatively simple to slot in a new player on Dust 2. We know Fallen from his MIBR days. He was very versatile and he was super impactful with the AWP on a map like Dust 2. So there could be some stuff going on in practice we haven't seen yet transpire to the server, and maybe we'll get the first look at it right here. So the Dust 2 pick is for me the most interesting pick and the map that I look forward to the most.
Oh, well, Pimp's looking forward to Dust 2. I'm looking forward to all the games, and I know you are as well. It's time for us to kick it to a break, but when we come back, you'll be with Anders and Semler to bring you the NA matchup between EG and Team Liquid.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is EG versus Team Liquid, and we do have bit of a team huddle going on here.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see. I think it's going to be a good sign. Get everyone mentally focused and ready. You ready, Samla? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm loving it, dude. As always, Blast pushing the limits when it comes to the online world production. Now we've got the cameras here that the coaches get to have, or as the managers, etc. They can get behind and give us a different perspective. It's not just webcams. Super sick to see the huddle here from Evil Geniuses. Glad that they're all on location. The whole team this time, everybody together in one location. That's going to give them a bit more of that LAN edge, that LAN feel. Yeah. And, I'm hoping to see big things out of these guys today because they need to prove themselves.
They absolutely do. They're definitely the underdog team, and I think they're going to have a real fight on their hands, especially with the veto and everything else. I think it's going to be interesting.
Considering how well Liquid performed yesterday as well. I mean, that's so tough. Liquid are the higher seed right now, period, in terms of world rankings, so Liquid are just performing at a higher level. It seems like Fallen is slotted in really well with Liquid as well.
Yeah.
So, everything is working against Evil Geniuses. They, I think, are the underdogs in this match, but it's kind of tough, because as North Americans, we always love the underdog story. But,
that's true.
Which one's the underdog? They're both North American teams.
They are, there's a common detraction there. I don't know. I actually think it's just going to be an interesting game. As I think we heard in the interview, they kind of know how each other play. So even if we have less data on EG overall, I still think, just from history and even just between the players, I think they have a good, internal feeling of what to expect and all the rest of it. So.
I think so too. The one thing that we're going into this, we had an interview with Freya. She was talking with Breezy, and he was just a little hesitant in terms of the confidence, right? She was like, how are you guys feeling right now? And he was kind of humming and hawing a little bit. Oh, we're not quite there yet in terms of the level. And that's always going to be the main thing that holds this team back. I feel like some of the players need to just be a little bit more confident, a little bit more decisive, and just say, this is where we're at. We're progressing. Obviously, we can get better, but we're going to kick ass today. That's what we need from them. So the humming and hawing, I wish that we weren't getting so much of. But, hopefully they are able to get their heads in the game here at the beginning on this map.
I agree. I mean, that used to be one of the really cool things about American Counter-Strike is that even if it wasn't necessarily always the highest level, then you had that factor of just the personalities and I think the pure fight that would come out. There's a whole thing that went with that.
Yeah.
So I agree. Definitely want to see more out of that, and hopefully they can be built up over time because EG did. I mean, they did have some pretty good results so far, even if they didn't win the series yet. They took it to Astralis in the beginning and put up a real fight. I think they ended up losing that one, but still.
Well, they went 3 maps with Astralis.
Yeah.
So, that's no joke.
That was the opening game, I think, on day 1, and it was just, that in itself looked, interesting. It looked like there was something to work with there. So, yeah, I hope that we're going to be proven wrong and that actually the level is a little bit closer than maybe we're setting up here, but
what do you think Scrawny and Launders know that we don't, though? Because they're the ones who predicted EG in this one. And, they're both predicting EG. It's got me wondering, man. I don't know.
On the other hand, Launders did also say that they were casting this game, so I doubt if he might just be confused in general. Maybe he was banking on that, and that played a part of his prediction. I don't know. I feel like they're at the bottom of the prediction list anyway, so they have to do something, right? They have to fight their way up.
They got to make plays. Well, look at that. Yeah, they EG for Launders. Who was predicting?
See, I'm not sure.
He even took NaVi as well. And it's like, dude, now you're reaching.
Exactly. I'm not sure it's tactical. I think it might be desperation. It might be something like that.
Well, what isn't desperate is Fallen, the lads on Liquid. These guys are feeling good. It's been very decisive for them so far this tournament. They've either won in 2 maps or they've lost in 2 maps. There's no in between 3 maps getting scruffy with these guys. It's either they get the job done or it goes against them.
Well, let's find out which one we're up for today. EG and Team Liquid. We're going to be starting here. First match of the day here at Blast Premier. And we are on Inferno with EG starting on the T side, Liquid on the CT side. We do have 2 smokes and a Molotov, so plenty of room for different weird executes on the T side. They could do a lot with it. And actually, instead of Liquid waiting around, actually going to go check Banana and see what's going on, which is pretty aggressive for a pistol round, and that is going to maybe blow up in their face. Cirque will take down Stewie, and Naf and Fallen. I don't know, they're hanging around, but this is so early on. Great start for EG.
Yeah, that's so painful. That's so cool what Liquid tried to do there. Fallen setting up that molly to force them into the open where you had, Stewie and Naf ready and waiting, and then they lose the fight. It's unfortunate it didn't work their way, but that's a really cool idea for the CT pistol. And now Liquid, they need to hit headshots. That's what it's going to come down to here. And Evil Geniuses, they're going to give him a chance. It's going to hit the B site here in a moment.
You say Liquid, but really Fallen just needs to hit headshots, and a lot of them. He's completely alone. He's got no backup. He's got no grenades, no armor or anything. So it's all on him, and they're going to throw in the smokes. They have a Molotov if they really want to clear him out. He's going to fall even further back. Actually, they're going to come running for him in construction. They had the deep smoke coming through, and Tarek, I mean, it didn't look very clinical, but it absolutely got the job done. So we're not going to complain at all. For a minute, it looked like it was Kirby playing the game. Grim and Elige are left 2 versus 4, and the bomb is already down. So great follow-up from EG. They get the early kill, and then they just wrap on that construction zone and absolutely make it work. Elige 1 versus 2, and they shouldn't be fighting him here. He does have a kit picked up, and there is a smoke, so I don't know, almost just run in while the smoke is up, maybe? Because once it's gone, you're going to be out in the open, and there's still very much for the bomb site to cover. It'll go down to the end, and EG will pick up the pistol.
Nice Beta-Reno there.
Yeah.
That was clever, very clean, worked out for Evil Geniuses. Man, okay, so it's so fun because the narrative that we need to go into on Inferno in particular with these two teams is that Liquid are very defensive on CT side. They prefer to let their opponents come to them. They tend to be a bit more economic with their utility as well, not commit as much of it early in the rounds. Evil Geniuses, their Inferno tends to revolve around aggression. They like to get in your face, they like to make plays, they like to get up there fast. And so it's like a hot-cold kind of yin-yang kind of balance that we've got going on here. All right, Breeze. That's clean. Nice one tap onto Fallen. But already, Liquid may be trying to shift things up with that pistol setup. The CT side, trying to make a play. That's not their style. That's not what they're about. So we're going to get in mind games here. These teams know each other too well.
I hope so. I mean, that's the best case scenario, isn't it? If they actually try and play just a little bit outside of their own comfort zone and try and do, as you pointed out, some of the things that maybe they're not so used to and play the map a bit differently. This one is working out brilliantly for them. Down the pit, Grim is trying to keep his head low, but that only worked for a short while. Nap is going to be showing up, and second kill would have been really beautiful. They're going to get a couple here. It's not so bad for Liquid. Probably would have loved a bit more damage. I do have a very important question for you, though, Samlo. When we get back to the Liquid camera, we need to find out which fish is, in fact, the best, because they have that on the whiteboard behind them, and they've been given some attempts. I don't know who's been drawing them. I didn't read it that carefully, but
is this like the new team building exercise that you get, where it's who can draw the best fish in the most in the shortest amount of time?
It could be, that whoever does that gets to call for the team that day. Some sort of artwork project. I don't know what Jason is up to over there.
Dude, he's been reading books on leadership and everything. Although I expect more of a Jocko Willink approach from him. It seems like that's what he's trying to institute in this team, and I really appreciate it. But we'll see.
Yeah, you know what? I wish him the best of luck on that front. Keeping these kids under control definitely cannot be easy.
That's why you had Dad Fallen now. Had Dad Fallen into the roster. There you go. Well, approach.
We'll see. We'll leave that. I will leave that to the future, for the future to tell. Really, I'm gonna have to see the evidence before I make any decisions. Elige is alone over here, and that's why he's playing, a little bit forward and trying to actually, be a couple of places at once, a little bit aggressive in the apartments, and now, close to here. I kind of wish he would actually, at least keep stepping around, because he has to sell the idea that, there are more people here than what's really true. So that they walk into the quad stack over at the B bomb side, and they're all lined up. It's a firing squad.
Oh, what a shame. There's absolutely no reason to be chucking HEs over this way, but still, Tarek's going to find Elige, and they back it, and they spot and back it off here, Evil Geniuses. They're not going to commit to this, although they do leave Cirque here. He's going to be able to farm with that Mac 10. Even a one kill with this will be big for him, and there it is. Does manage to pick up an extra $600 for himself, so nice job. In the meantime, we've lost Elige on the other side of the map, and it is going to be Liquid, kind of just trying to set up here for some exits.
Try whatever we can. Might as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind. I mean, I think that's a creative way to try and lure someone in. We've seen it before where people do actually go and fight the entire four-man squad, because I don't know what it is, but when you would think that as soon as you shoulder peek that and you see that there are 4 people, you just say, well, whatever happens, just don't fight. But when you have a Mac 10, you feel hungry instantly. You just think, all right, like maybe I could spray every one of them down, which usually isn't how it works out. Fallen, about to get either shot or stabbed or almost stabbed. Tarek denied of the content. That is really sad. He was setting up for it as well.
Not happening. Not happening this time. Your name is not simple.
I mean, that could be either the knife or hopefully, if we're lucky again, the ninja diffuse, right? That was enjoyable. I think that was a bit of a highlight yesterday.
Where is Fallen taking this AWP? Because I'm wondering if this is how he decides to change it up. Liquid don't really use utility much in mid, and so that could give him some room to work with that AWP. They're not one of those teams that's throwing smokes down to block top mid so much. And so yeah, he is going to set up on short with it. I was curious if he was actually going to try and get aggressive with it. But instead, it's over on Banana where we got the nade game already kicking off here. Now that Liquid actually have some money, Evil Geniuses are going to have to figure out the tempo for those HEs and those incendiaries, where exactly they're going to be going.
And EG getting banana control fairly easily. Just being allowed to hang out here, which, if that's a recurring theme, then you could do some pretty cool B executes from that. But there were also 3 members of Liquid over on the defensive side here. Right? Elige, Naf, and Stewie are all hanging out towards the B bomb side. So if they tried to do a full execute there, maybe that wouldn't have worked out so well. And the way that Fallen and Grim are set up right now, although Elige is coming back in here, but it's pretty dangerous if... one thing is if Fallen misses a shot, but if they come out of apartments and Grim can't stop them, then Fallen's actually trapped in where he is. He can't get back. So Grim really has to stay alive and get a couple of kills to slow them down. Otherwise, I think Fallen is toast. And we'll see, they're already jumping down, and they don't stop anything. Fallen gets caught as he's falling back into the bomb site. It's just done. Instant save, not even worth showing up for.
What an impeccable timing.
Yep.
That is clean for
There are actually a couple of problems, I think, with that kind of a setup. And one of them is, if you're Fallen and you're playing that forward quad corner looking into the middle with an AWP, if you sense that there's danger, or you just hear, you hear the first flashes come out, you turn and you run back towards the A bomb site, but usually there will be a couple of T's in the middle throwing grenades towards the pit and balcony. So as you turn to run away from middle to try and escape, you're actually running right into those flashbangs. You're going to be looking straight at them. It's just a bit of a mess, really. So I kind of understand it, that it's cool if you can get a kill and fall back, and now you have the traditional crossfire of pit and A site setup, which, it's like getting a kill and then coming back to a normal defense, but I've seen that happen many times before, so this just completely blew up on them. Great stuff for EG, though. 4-0. What a beautiful start again as the presumed underdog team. This is great. What they want.
Even though it's so tough to say though when it comes into it, because like the underdog team, it's like Evil Geniuses in terms of world ranking definitely lower underdog status, but not by much. So I mean, it's like they're going to know so much about each other. Adding Fallen to the roster, I don't know if that changes enough, because like how quickly can you change your game after a week of scrims? It's more about just slotting Fallen into the system, and the system that Liquid use on Inferno is a very passive one. And the Evil Geniuses are going to start taking advantage of that, right? If you're not peeking mid for info, if you're not delaying your plays there to get to put a little bit of pressure on Evil Geniuses, we're going to have situations like the one we just saw where Evil Geniuses, they get to just kind of execute at will. Like, cool, 3, 2, 1, here are the flashes, go. And that's going to be really hard for Liquid to deal with. I think if Evil Geniuses get fired up and start feeling confident in hitting headshots. So I'm curious to see when Liquid decide to start changing things up. And this is one way to change things up here, is that Liquid have chosen to put Stewie aggressive with NAF. This is more aggressive than Team Liquid usually play on Banana already.
Very cool to see. And obviously that should give them some more confidence in keeping the 3-man stack at the A bomb site. And it could also just be in for a surprise here. There's only, one Molotov left on EG, so they could use that to clear out Stewie. He's going to fall back now, but... that deep banana control, you can catch you off guard even if you know theoretically they could be in play. Stewie's now just doing the regular jump, and we'll see if they're going to be able to at least push him back. He's going to put up the Molotov, in fact. Naf is still back there with a flashbang. He's got it in hand, and I guess now with that Molotov in front, it's going to be tricky, but yeah, you can see he's thinking about it. And Naf's timing is everything right now. That's all that matters. 30 seconds on the clock. He's going to turn for it, and he does not get the kill. Ethan takes him down, and I'd love to see that from Ethan's point of view. How does he not get flashed? How is he not already dead? 20 seconds, and they're falling back to the A-bomb site, but Grim and Fallen are still here. This round is not done, and with that kill from Naf, they are surely going to know that something is up. Yeah, Fallen and Grim trying to get into position. Grim will pick up Terry. Only 9 seconds on the clock. Just stay alive. Grim continues. A triple kill. Finally, he goes down, and Sir is not going to hit the no-scope. Fallen drops him, and Liquid win the round just because of not rotating out of A.
Staying put and not seeing too much of an overcommit from Evil Geniuses. This is actually where if you can play into Liquid's game of them playing super defensive like this, if you can play against the clock and you don't get any kills, and this is ideally how Liquid would have it work, where it's like, okay, cool, you're under the pressure of the clock, you haven't given yourself much room to maneuver, so you can't set up with the nades that you would like, you're not going early enough to get all the flashes and smokes in and play, you're having to rush, perfect, you're going to walk right into us, and that's how we can wreck you. So this is, Evil Genius is maybe getting a bit too much in their heads. And we have to see now as Liquid are once again challenging early.
How's he not dead? Stewie is very lucky to be alive. But I mean, you're right. Even if Nef got that kill on Ethan after the initial battle was won, it felt like if they'd actually gone B, Nef would have been in so much trouble, right? So maybe doing that double take and going back to the A-bomb site was too much. It's always hard to know, but that did seem like that was also an option for them.
Sometimes Occam's razor, man. Just go with the simplest option. Just no need to overcomplicate. You got the kill on Stewie. Just commit to B, especially when you only have 20 seconds, not even 20 seconds left on the clock.
Maybe even more so because the flashbang that was set up for Stewie to take that fight kind of reveals Nef's position. Like they know that as soon as they, like Ethan would have known, oh yeah, that was thrown from coffins. Like we were definitely sure.
What I'm thinking is they're probably thinking there's 2 players there, and Stewie's bait.
You could, I mean,
for that flash, for him to be playing so aggressive, which isn't characteristic, they're probably thinking, oh, they've got 2 players on B, let's go hit A, And
that is the ridiculous rock, paper, scissors game of sometimes guessing the opponent's strategy.
Exactly. So. You get 2 into your head where it's like, oh, man. But again, these are the layers on layers. How many times have these players played against each other over the years, right? It's just going to be layers on layers.
If they can smoke off a leash successfully, he's going to actually put up a grenade. That's interesting, but only 20 seconds left. They need to get rid of a leash so they can focus on Grim and Fallen inside of the bomb side. He's going to take one guy with him, but 15 seconds now. Time is running out. Fallen, he was flash getting that kill on Ethan, and it didn't even matter. 10 seconds left. They must know Grim is still down in the pit, and he's waiting for someone to jump, but it never happens. 6 seconds as the bomb is finally being planted, and Stewie goes down, trying to stop that plant, or at least trying to shoot into the bomb site, leaving Nef in a 1 versus 2. So very drawn out, very late in the round, and somehow EG, they just find the right puzzle pieces. I'm not even sure how. That was so close.
Well, everything has to go right. You have to hit all your shots.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the difference. If you're going to cut it that close in terms of time, you don't have all your nades, you don't have everything. If you're not hitting headshots, you're just going to run into a wall. And this time they hit their shots. They get in there fast, and they don't get caught the way they did coming up short last time. So it's just the finest of margins right now between these 2 teams. But Evil Geniuses, man, that's going to be a 5th round on the board.
So wondering, I would want to go back at some point and just watch that round again, because you could see here that that's a pretty wide swing for a leash. Fallen is here. Yeah, this is where he gets the kill. Okay, he's only partially flashed. He is trying to hide. Okay, so my concern was, let's say there are 3 people alive for Liquid around the A-bomb side, and there's about 10 seconds on the clock. If everyone decides, okay, well, we're going to play for time. Like, let's just try and be hard to find so that they can't plant the bomb. That would be a strategy, but it only really works if everyone does it. And I'm not sure if that was even the problem here, but it looked like Fallen couldn't possibly have hidden, any further than he did, but Grim certainly was hiding.
I think the Fallen stays crouched if he knows the position that Grim is playing in, right? But he doesn't. I think these are like the fine-tuning issues that we're going to be dealing with over time here for Liquid, where they're going to start figuring out, okay, if this situation, then you're doing this, and we won't get those kinds of chaotic things. But now, Liquid, right now, again with the aggression.
Yeah, that was even after getting the early kill, which is a brilliant headshot to take down Stanislaw. Now the follow-up is there, and inside of the bomb site, Fallen is on his own, and they are not afraid to come right at him. The smoke in front, but again, they probably know he has that AWP, so they're not even really afraid to push through the smoke. Even if they lose someone, they might just think, well, that is still worth it. Bomb goes down, and now retaking this bomb site, I just don't even think it's worth trying. Fallen, if you want to stick around and look for a kill and try and make it a 3-on-3, fair play. But I wouldn't try and go straight in here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you can get a kill immediately here, that's not going to happen. Cirque finds that shot, and you can see immediately Fallen is going to peel off. I'm surprised Breeze isn't just charging. Yeah, he hears those footsteps. He knows that they're going, and he's just going to be a split second too late. Not going to catch Fallen.
He wanted it.
Question if Tarek is going to be able to get there in time. Grim is up in Graveyard. Tarek is charging short. He's going to try and get up here. He's going to hear those footsteps.
Yeah, he could find him. Ooh, actually a little bit slow even.
Unreal.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, they made that way more expensive.
That's interesting. I really don't understand this part here, because at this point it's a 4-5 in favor of Liquid. They already had the kill. I don't think they actually needed to do that, and I mean that could well be part of the strategy, right? You sort of think, okay, we got the early kill. Probably they're not going to expect, a secondary flash into deep in Banana. I mean, fair play, that is unlikely, but that was just leaving the door wide open for EG. So actually struggling a little bit here early on, Liquid. 6-1 in favor of EG. I think this is super exciting, super good news. I really want to see this go to all 3 maps because, again, got that NA matchup. It's good to see, even if they're all in Europe at the moment. It still counts.
They are, yes, and these are North American teams, and well, Evil Geniuses have been here a couple of weeks now. They came here early because last time they did not have enough time to catch up to the meta in Europe, and so this time they came around early. They were getting cracking with the European teams early. They haven't pracked against each other, which is worth mentioning, because before you're coming into this tournament, you're not sure if you're going to play against one another, but it turns out they still didn't prack against each other, so I guess that's just what NA rivalry, they don't want to help each other out. Friends on one side, but enemies on the other, right? Enemies in the server.
That's real interesting, actually. I'd love to know what the reasoning is behind that. Maybe they're like, we want full advantage when we're here. We can always play each other back home. I'm not sure. No, look at the lack of information. You brought this up earlier about them not being aggressive in mid or Banana, and look at the teams right now at the CT side. They're so far back, and that basically gives this run into the B bomb site. Now, if you get a kill like this, maybe you could say it's worth it, right? Because at least you're 4-5 for the afterplant, but playing that far back more or less secures that there will be an afterplant. They're actually going to get another kill, this one for the smoke as well, and this time it's Breeze going down. Unbelievable. Stewie is out here. He's not reloaded yet, and even if he had, the bullet to his face from Ethan will put any end to that. Elige and Grim and Fallen just completely wrecked them, but I just want to put a little pin in this round and say, don't expect for this to work out every single time. I would say it's very risky what Liquid just did. Now, they made it look perfect, so sounds stupid when I say it, but I'm going to hold on to it.
You're not necessarily wrong.
I'm fine with it.
It's just that this is them going back to their strengths. If you watch the heat maps, if you watch how Liquid set up on CT side Inferno, that's much more in their wheelhouse. It's not flashing Stewie through smoke and Banana late. Yeah. It's them setting up towards CT. It's them setting up on the site. It's getting those smokes down and putting spray through. Right? That's much more in Liquid's wheelhouse. And maybe Moses, maybe Stewie, they're just saying, hey, let's just go back to what we know here. And Evil Geniuses, they tried to play to that, and it just doesn't work out that time for Evil Geniuses. Sometimes you're going to get sprayed in the face, through smoke, and unfortunately, that's what happened with EG this time around. Now let's see if Evil Geniuses can change it up here.
And fair play. They did also stop to sort of shoot through the smoke in reverse, which I don't even understand why that is necessary. I think it's different if you think someone is boosted and you try and spray that. But just standing there and shooting towards CT spawn, probably not a great idea. That looked like the timing was almost dead on perfect. They nearly catch Fallen. He's back for a little bit more. He's taking some damage. In the meantime, Naf going down, and that's an archway. That was otherwise a really good setup between Fallen and Naf, but now that it's wide open and this early in the round, they could just leave. They could go for, they're going to improvise a B-split. I'm not even sure if this was the point, but it is now, and it's left Stewie alone, and that is a lot of trouble coming his way. Grim is going to take down Tarek, but this is about Stewie. They must know that he's here alone.
Oh, man, what can Mr. Yip do? They have to know. They have to know that because they killed Naf, and he's the other anchor for B. So, but does he have an op? They don't know that he has an op, and there you go. First shot goes in. Ethan is out of the picture. Breezy not able to trade frag, and then they're not up Banana yet either. So Stewie can now post up at the back of the site. Big opportunity here for Stewie.
They have a Molotov, though, on Cirque, so if they throw it back here, Stewie's probably screwed. Smoke is up. Are they walking through? It's pretty close, and Breeze just goes for it. That's a bold play, and Cirque will take down Fallen coming in from Banana. So Grim, I'm not sure about this. Oh, actually, the timing is ridiculous. Cirque must have been thinking, is he some kind of a magician? I was just there looking, but he slipped right past the board just as he was getting there. 1 versus 2, and they could play for time here. It's planted out in the open. It's hard for him to really go and check everything. So I'd say don't try and fight him too hard. A little bit of a spot there for Grim. He's actually, it's smart for him to immediately look for the follow-up, but that's a tough ask overall. There's a 1 versus 3. He did what he could. So 7-2. What a great start. This is really impressive.
It's fantastic. It's really, really solid from Evil Geniuses here.
And it's Breeze. I'm excited about the fact that Breeze is top fragging right now for EG because He had a moment last year, like in the first.
Смотрим, все-таки действительно там еще вторая половина, и атака от Liquid может быть. И здесь еще, возможно, ребята как-то там какие-нибудь 3 раунда еще выиграют, а может быть и 4, и вообще не такой страшный будет счет после первой половины. Но, опять же, надо тащить очередной раунд прямо сейчас. Ребята накатываются на точку А. Ребята из ЕГЭ, 3 мидл, 2 по коврам проходят. Возможно, там как раз с центра тоже зайдет Бриз. Нет, 3 накатываются на точку А. Организован этот выход, вновь замечательные флешки открытые, причем еще и Тарик там добавил. Ну просто развалено абсолютно все на точке. Можно вновь сейвить и отдыхать. Это 8-й раунд для команды Злых Гениев. И действительно очень хорошая атака на карте Инферно. Ну давайте посмотрим, как будут сейвить ребятам, потому что здесь еще могут и не дать засейвить.
Стюи с Юмпиком сейвит у нас далеко возле мостика. Его обходит, кстати, Церк. Обходит он. А, нет, на мосту. Да, вряд ли. Кстати, нож будет. Да, будет нож.
Ой-ой-ой.
Будет нож. Ну, а почему же? $1500, что? Кстати, 2800 у Церка мог бы, ну, не знаю, побоялся. Или уважает.
Церк уважает, да. Вот. Церк показал свое отношение к таким ситуациям. Даже вот экономика, которая, в принципе, возможно, еще понадобилась бы лишняя-то еще здесь всегда пригодится, но решил, что не будет. Не будет он резать своих соперников. Не хочет играться с кармой, как обычно бывает после ножа.